Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flat Thunder channel. My name's Andy, and this is the Flatbed, aka the Flat Thunder truck. I just got off from work, if you haven't noticed. Still got my nice dress shirt on, and we need to change the oil in this old girl. I'm gonna try to do it without oil staining my shirt. I don't know if we can do it or not, but we're gonna give it a shot. Drop down in the comments sections, let me know if you had any disasters trying to do something quickly in your nice clothes. I do it all the time. I can't tell you how many different outfits and different pairs of jeans and shirts that I've ruined with a big old oil stain or grease stain. I use Dawn dish detergent to try to get those stains out. Let me know what you do. Tear into this thing. It's a rather trivial project, just a standard oil change. And we're going to try to grease the front end while we're in there. Stay tuned, I'll show you how to do it. I always prefer to use 10W30 grade oil, and my oil of choice is Pennzoil. Now, this is the high mileage formula. I wouldn't even consider this truck high mileage at less than 100,000 miles. But for some reason, I could not get the conventional Pennzoil at my local store, and this is all that was available other than the full synthetic or semi-synthetic stuff. I don't know why that's happening. If you know why they're phasing out the conventional Pennzoil, let me know. I really would prefer just the standard 10W30 conventional Pennzoil. I also use Fram oil filters. This beautiful orange can with the black bottom for the grip. It's a PH8A. Now, I've heard of and been referred to several videos saying that these are the orange can of death. Well, I don't really buy into all that, and I've been using these for years without any problem. One of the complaints that they have is that there's supposedly moisture in the bottom of the can. Well, if you know anything about how these oil cans are formed, this is a stamped process, and to stamp the can out of sheet steel, they need to use dye lube, which is not a water, it's more of a lubricant. And also it could serve as an anti-corrosive treatment for the steel inside, because the steel inside here is just bare steel. So I don't see that as a huge problem. A lot of people made a big deal about it. Doesn't bother me. If anything, it's just a little leftover oil residue from the forming process. In the future, I hope to do a little more in-depth experimentation with Fram oil filters. Maybe do a test, a real test, not just the cut it in two test that everyone else does. Anybody can cut it in two, but then they have no idea what they're talking about. So it really needs a scientific test, which may or may not exist, where you do a pressure drop across the oil filter and then also try to filter different media through it and see how well this absorbs the contaminants. So that may come in the future. For now, let's just get this oil changed. One thing I love about these old trucks, look at the amount of space in this engine bay. I mean, I'm no little guy, but I can get in there almost. As long as I don't step on anything I'm not supposed to, but I can almost get entirely in this engine compartment and work on everything, and the firewall is not hanging over the back of the engine. Maybe a little bit on the intake, but the back of the engine is almost completely clear. Who'd have thunk it? Got my trusty piece of cardboard ready. We're gonna throw this down. Hopefully I don't dump any oil or grease on it, and I'm gonna lay in. This will be our pad. Now, I didn't write down the plug size in this truck yet in my Google Keep account, which I'll try to do after I finish this servicing. So I don't know the exact size, but I got a 1/2 inch and 9/16. One nice thing about these old trucks, all standard fasteners on the engine. At least I hope so. Another critical factor, plenty of room to squeeze my big butt down there without supporting the vehicle with jack stands or jack. Yeah. There's our drain plug. Just need to pull that out and drain it straight in our pan. No big covers, just a plug. Yeah. Looks like we're at a 1/2 inch. Over tighten as usual. Oh, she's nice and hot. One trick, push up on the plug as you're unthreading it. And then pull down quickly. If you push up, it holds it in there longer until it's fully unthreaded. Then you pull away quickly, that way you just get a little bit of oil on your fingers. As usual, always check the end of your plug for debris. It's typically magnetic, but for some reason this one isn't magnetic. This must be a replacement plug. This is a different oil pan. I don't remember. It may have come off a Mustang. Not for sure, but I might be upgrading this to a magnetic one. But still the same. Clean it off. Clean off the bottom of the pan. Put your plug back in. And it appears as if I pulled a boo-boo because I took out the lid for the drain pan, but it must have popped back down in there and plugged the hole. So I'm sitting on a whole oil pan here that's completely full where it's not supposed to be. Ooh, that could get messy. Now I'm going to move the oil pan such that it's under, roughly under the area that may leak for the oil filter. The oil filter is actually right up here above the differential, but because of where it's at, I always attack this one from the top. It almost always drains down on top of this cross member. There's really no way around it. So if you look down on the driver's side, behind the power steering pump, and right underneath that exhaust header, that's our oil filter. And there's a hole in the cross member there for you to drag it out the bottom, but that just isn't very convenient. So I always take it out from the top side. This helps you stay more clean. You gotta make sure you don't burn yourself on the headers. Make sure those are not too hot. I like to use my band wrench. Forget those plier type wrenches. They squeeze the oil filter and just make a huge mess like they did on the boat in one of the previous videos. So I'll slap our band wrench on there, get her loosened up, and then do the rest by hand. Let her sit on top of the front diff like that. Only if she's a 4x4. Still a little warm. Then you gotta sneak her out of there. This one's a little interesting because the headers are a little different on this. I think the space is more limited. It's gotta come out. There we go. Woo, hot. Ready to go back in. I didn't mention it, but you wanted to make sure the O-ring or the gasket came off with the old filter. It's not stuck down on the mounting flange. And then I went ahead and lubricated this with fresh oil. Let's get her back on there. Only fits a certain way with these special headers. My handy dandy half of a quart bottle funnel. Now all we need to do is fill her up.
Nothing like adding an extra handicap. The drain cap was up there, fell down in blocking the drain hole. This thing almost overfilled down there. It didn't though. Winning. Pro tip, always check the engine oil before starting the engine for the first time, and sometimes after it cools off after the initial start, just to double check. Okay, she's reading over full as she should. This particular truck is also interesting because, as I mentioned, the oil pan was changed and the dipstick tube was shortened. So I have a custom mark on here, not the factory original one. So after we start it, we let it cool off and drain. I'm going to double check to make sure it's on my custom mark, and my custom mark is correct, because we know we added the correct amount of oil, which is 6 quarts with the filter change. This is really unique, at least to me. This is the original owner's manual for this truck. And if you look in the back, it has all the service that was done to this vehicle. To maintain this, I'm going to go ahead and add in the mileage and the date for this oil change. 94,861 in 2021. Let's back up. And 2015, 90,360. So this truck doesn't get very many miles on it. This is the most I've driven this truck in a long time, because I started driving it to work, and I really enjoy it. So let's see here, 3/14 of 2020 is 93,522. So right around 1,300 miles. That's doing pretty good. That's more than what it's had in a long time. I think I made it through the oil change. I don't see any big huge oil spots or anything that's overly concerning in the wardrobe here. Now let's dial it up a little bit. Let's try to grease the front end. I know there's a couple grease zerks that look like probably not going to take because they're just really old and need replaced, but we're going to give it a go. In this old truck, you can actually grease the U-joints. What is that? I mean, grease zerks on a U-joint? Crazy talk. Let's get down there and lube it up. Got my Milwaukee M12 cordless grease gun. My lock and lube attachment on the end and the swivel. A little concerned about this large mechanism fitting in on the U-joints around the knuckle, but we're gonna give it a go and see what happens. Okay, we're on the driver's side here looking at the outer knuckle. The ball joint down here has a grease zert. There's hardly anything left on it. I really question if that'll take grease. The upper ball joint here inside the knuckle, it has an angled grease zert on it. Pretty confident that will take. But surprisingly enough, my U-joint does not have a grease zert on it, unless it's one of those silly into the cap grease zerts. That really surprises me. I don't remember that. Bummer. I can't even get the grease gun on there with this long fancy connector. This middle drive shaft U-joint has one of the grease zerts that's in the end, and I hate those because I can never get them to take grease. No matter how hard I push on that with a little grease nipple, I can never get that to take grease the right way. So I'm gonna avoid trying to grease that one. And then over there, it's not looking too promising either, so I think we're going to avoid the greasing for now until we can get some grease fittings and switch out our grease gun back to the standard end.
Oh man, I was really trying to get all greasy and dirty. This brown chocolatey goo came out of one of my drag link boots when I was greasing it. That sure doesn't look like nice clean grease. It looks like a bunch of water, so mixed with maybe a little bit of grease. I think we're going to be needing a new drag link soon. To top it off, the grease boot was split in two and holding all this moisture too. So yeah, one more thing to add to the list of things to fix. Boo. First startup, I'm going to monitor the oil pressure and make sure nothing goes awry. Nice little belt squeal there for it. There she goes. I gave those front U-joints another try at greasing. It's able to get in here, and the trick is you need to turn the wheel so that you open up this yoke a little bit on the universal and you have access in there. It's still really tight, but Dad and I had a really genius idea back when we originally installed these in like 1997. Let me show you. So when you turn the wheels all the way to the right, this top greaser on this top ball joint in the passenger side is pointing this way. But on the driver's side, the greaser is coming out the back side pointing this way. So you turn the wheels all the way to the right, you can access the passenger side upper greaser and the driver's side upper greaser on the ball joints. Genius. I forgot, you have the rear U-joint at the end of the transmission, the slip joint, and then the U-joint at the rear differential. Part that I forgot, so you have to jack up the rear end so you can turn the drive shaft. Wasn't thinking on that one. And the fitting barely would get in there, so I don't know how I feel about that lock and lube coupling now. Knew it was going to be questionable, but it was just really tight to get in there. I could barely latch it on any of those. Alright, we got the front end and the rear drive shaft greased as much as we could. We couldn't get the lower ball joints because the grease certs are just completely gone. And the front U-joints for the drive shaft are either grease certs on the end of the caps or no grease certs at all. Don't remember that, don't agree with it. But I will tell you, one thing you don't want to be doing is playing with the grease gun while you're in your work clothes. I think we still made it. We had to obviously get a little messy with the grease gun, and I even ran out of grease and had to refill the cartridge. But this thing's a champ. I mean, refilling this thing's way easier than a standard grease gun, and actually the old sleeve was pretty well spent, which is impressive. Love this thing. So we'll have to tackle those damaged grease certs in another video. It's just not work clothes apparel. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Leave your questions and comments in that section below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I gotta get out of here. I got things to do, more junk to buy, more projects to get into. Thanks for watching. Oh, hey. Just cleaning up my hands here. I think we managed to make it without any major grease dollops or oil stains on the shirt. Did get a couple marks on the pants, but I don't think that's grease, just a little bit of dirt. Should be good to go. Won't know till we get the cleaning bill from the wife though. I don't know.